Hi everyone. In this presentation, we are going to discuss about the topic Fieldcraft, presented by Cadet Krishnapriya S, NCC St. Joseph's College Autonomous Irinjalakuda, 7 Kerala Girls Battalion Thrissur, Ernakulam Group, Kerala and Lakshadweep Directorate. First of all, we are going to discuss about description of ground. There are mainly 4 types of ground: broken ground, flat and open ground, high ground and dead ground. Though an open ground is easy to travel, it is dangerous to do so in the vicinity of the enemy. Broken ground, when correctly used, affords protection from flat trajectory weapon. It does not afford cover from air or protection from high trajectory weapon. Dead ground does not afford cover from high trajectory weapon. The normal method of scanning and describing the ground is by dividing it as follows. Firstly, foreground up to 300 yards, middle distance from 300 to 500 yards, distance beyond 500 yards. For indication, give the following. A general line of direction. Start by giving the general line of direction by pointing out a centrally located. Boundaries. After giving general line of direction, give left and right boundaries of your area. While describing the ground bounded by a particular arc, after giving the boundaries, start from left to right. If the ground all around is to be described, start after general line of direction to the right and finish at general line of direction by completing the indication all around. Next, we are going to discuss about observation and concealment. To observe is to penetrate the concealment of the enemy's observation. Visual training is a training in observation and concealment. Observation and concealment are important in battle. Normally, men look at, observe, or watch some actions being performed and only get a very general picture, but a great deal of detail is missed out. Proficiency in observation comes more from mental training and mental attitude than from good eyesight. The real test of fieldcraft is soldier's ability to kill the enemy without getting himself killed. These are certain fundamental for correct use of cover. Judging distance. Accurate fire with any weapon depends upon the correct judging of distance. Although a cadet is not normally required to open fire at a range over 100 yards, he must be able to judge distance up to about 1000 yards so that he knows when to open fire and he can indicate target to some supporting arms and he can pass back information accurately when acting as an observer. Next, we are going to discuss about 6 main methods of judging distance. The first one is unit of measure. This method is also termed as 100 yards method. The unit of measure is chosen normally as 100 yards. The distance of a given object will be multiple of imaginary unit of 100 yards. This method is not accurate above 100 yards. Next method is appearance method. The distance can be judged by nothing but detailed appearance of a man at various ranges. These are some ranges and the distinguishing of man's appearance. Section average. Each man in the section is asked to judge the distance of a given object. The average of the answers given by the whole section is then accepted as the distance. Here caution must be exercised in the estimation of a few who may foolishly overestimate the distance. Next method is key range. If the range of certain object is known, distance to other object can be found in relation to know the range. This method is called key range method. Next is halving. An object is selected halfway between the observer and the target. The distance to the selected object is judged and doubled to get the distance to the target. Next is bracketing. The observer works out the maximum and the minimum possible distance of the object and then accepts the mean of the distance. During night, judging distance at night will depend upon the visibility. During day, the condition which mislead the observer when judging distances are as follows. Sometimes distances are overestimated during day because of certain reasons such as light is bad, the sun is in the observer's eye, the object is small in relation to the surroundings, looking through a valley of narrow lane and lying down. Sometimes distances are underestimated when the light is bright or sun is shining from behind the observer. The object is large in relation to its surrounding and there is some dead ground between observer and the object looking uphill. Next topic is recognition, description and indication of target. Landmarks and other objects on the ground on a battlefield may be either indistinct due to climatic condition or other reasons. There may be too many of the same type. Every effort should therefore be made to indicate their location and extend carefully and accurately. To ensure quick and accurate indication by commanders and recognition by individual soldiers as a standard procedure has been laid down in the army. Even the aids to be used for indicating difficult target have been laid down. The following terminologies are commonly used. Target. It is an object which is indicated with a view to bring down fire on it whenever required. Next is landmark and reference point. A reference point is a prominent and unmistakable object from which the position of target in the vicinity can be clearly indicated. A landmark can be used as a reference point. The principle of indication is that the most direct and quickest method of indication of easy target. It can be done by following these methods: indication by description and indication by direction or range or both. Indication of difficult targets. The target which cannot be indicated by the above mentioned are difficult targets, and the methods to indicate these targets are explained later on. The direction method. This is used to indicate the following: the general line of direction, a non-reference point, and another landmark. Unless otherwise stated, all directions are taken to be with reference to the general line of direction. The following direction will be used. The reference point method. One or more prominent reference points should be selected beforehand. The following points should be borne in mind while selecting reference point. First, the number of reference points selected will depend on the width of arc and the nature of the ground. Reference points should be so distributed over the arc as to be helpful in indicating target in any part of the arc. If more than one reference point is chosen, they must be well spaced out. Each reference point must be specific. Do not select such a reference point which is likely to be confused with a nearby object. Reference points should differ from each other as regard type, name, color, and range. Selecting and naming a reference point. Naming of the reference point is essential to get them indicated and recognized at the same time. And there is an example. While using a reference point for indicating a target, start with naming the reference point to draw attention to it, and then indicate taking it as a center using other method in conjunction as required. And there is an example for this. The range given out is the range to the target and to the reference point. Next, we are going to discuss about the clock ray method. To use this method, it is necessary to imagine the center of a clock face held vertically on the reference point. The word left or right are given as preliminary indications. The direction of the object is then given by naming the clock house at which it appears. And there is an example about this method. It must be remembered, however, that the nature of the ground under observation will determine the type of clock face, either vertical or horizontal, used to be used for indication of target. Keep the persons to whom a clock indication is being given as close as possible to you. Next method is the degree method. This is a method indicating how far the object is from the reference point. Degrees can be measured with various aids such as binoculars, hand angles, sight and sight protectors of the rifle. Next method is fingers breadth and handspan method. This is a rough alternative to the degree method for use as an elementary training aid. In this method, the left arm is outstretched, one eye is closed, and deflections to the left and right are given in fingers. Verification. To ensure that an indication has been correctly recognized, it may be desirable to check back. To do this, a person indicating will say check back. The recipient will then indicate some other landmark using the target previously indicated as his reference point. Only those who have not recognized the object or target after it has been indicated will shout not seen. Silence will imply that the indication has been followed. Sequence of indication. The easy way to remember the sequence of indication is to remember the word grad. The sequence is as follows. Designation of group. Designation or name of the group to be given out first. Then secondly, range. Range of the target to be given out next. Aid. If an aid such as direction has been used, it will be given out after range. The direction will be in relation to the general line of direction. And finally, we are going to discuss about movement with and without arms. A knowledge of how to move correctly and how to use ground is important to enable individuals and groups of individuals to close with the enemy while exposing themselves as little as possible to enemy's view and fire. A knowledge to move correctly using correct cover as per the ground is essential. This is also essential for snipers and the patrols to accomplish their task. Every feature, natural and artificial, must be used to provide cover from the fire and view. The method of movement are given below. First one, crawling by day with rifle. It includes monkey run, leopard crawl, walk, and roll. Next is crawling by day with LMG. It includes knee crawl, side crawl, and leopard crawl. Next is crawling by night. It includes ghost walk, cat walk, and kitten crawl. These are some points to remember. Move from cover to cover and make use of natural camouflage. Stop, observe and listen from bound to bound and do not keep moving forward the whole time. Watch your front and flanks. Crawl slows the movement and hides observation. Therefore, crawl only when you must. After crawling for some distance, stop, listen and observe and then crawl further. Weapon must always be kept ready for use. Look carefully and all around for enemy. Double across small gaps. If shorted, drop and crawl away to a side. Check equipment for noise. Always consider an alternative route. Do not disturb birds if this can be helped. And finally, it's time to conclude my presentation. Thank you and have a nice day.